Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you are a trade student getting ready to master modern acrylic finishes, well, you're absolutely in the right place. I'm thrilled to be walking you through this material today because honestly, as professionals in the painting and decorating industry, nailing these techniques is exactly what takes a standard paint job and elevates it to true craftsmanship. Today, we're zeroing in on topic 5, and the goal is to get you fully prepped, totally confident, and ready to go before you even pick up a brush. Everything we're covering today comes straight out of your Genesis International College coursework for Unit CPCCPD3028 Applied Decorative Paint Finishes. So consider this explainer your definitive study guide before you hit the tools. We're going to take all that crucial textbook theory, distill it down, and build a really practical roadmap that you can take straight into the workshop and eventually right out onto the job site. Okay, let's dive into our prep to polish agenda. Today we are covering planning and preparation, essential tools and materials, the 4 modern acrylic finishes, and finally, hitting the tools. Section 1, Planning and Preparation, Building the Foundation. Look, I really can't stress this enough. A truly professional result always starts with your prep. You could have the absolute best brush technique in the world, but if your substrate is faulty or you rush the prep work, that final finish is just going to fail. So regardless of the specific finish you're applying, you will always follow these 4 universal steps. It's a completely natural workflow. Step 1 is your initial planning and preparation. Step 2 is physically prepping the application area. Step 3 is where the magic happens, actually applying the decorative finish. And step 4 is cleaning up the site. You really need to cement this workflow into your brain because it dictates exactly how you operate on site, literally from the moment you arrive to the moment you hand it over to the client. Let's look a bit closer at that very first step. What does planning actually entail in the real world? Well, it means carefully reading work instructions and deeply interpreting those plans and specs. It means locking in your work health and safety and environmental compliance. You've got to identify your materials, double-check your tools, and make sure you've selected the right PPE. Taking the time to do this thoroughly just means you don't get caught out on the job having to do a mad dash to the hardware store for a missing trowel, or worse, compromising your own safety. Section 2, Essential Tools and Materials, Gearing Up. Now, these specific tools should definitely trigger some memory recall from your workshop sessions. For these modern finishes, your primary application tools are going to be your high-quality brushes and rollers, alongside specialty tools like trowels for specific textural work. Keeping all this gear well-maintained and defect-free is a massive part of that prep phase we just talked about. But here's where it gets really fun. Beyond your standard primers and acrylic base paints, it's the specialty additives that actually create these amazing modern effects. We're talking about mixing in metal powders, ceramic or glass beads, and even crushed lime. These are definitely not your everyday broadwall paints. These specific materials fundamentally change how the paint interacts with light and texture, and grasping how they work is absolutely key to your coursework. Section 3, 4 modern acrylic finishes. The breakdown. The painting industry is super dynamic, right? Technology is constantly improving these acrylic effects. First up out of the 4 modern finishes in your study guide is suede. Now, suede creates this beautiful, textured, almost fabric-like appearance on walls and ceilings. But what's really vital here is the 2-step application technique. You don't just roll this on like standard paint. Nope. The first layer goes on with a roller in overlapping V-shapes. Then, you've got to follow it right up with a brush, using a very specific crisscross technique on the second coat to build that signature texture. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact roller and brush combination in action. You use the roller to efficiently get the material onto the substrate, and then the brush comes in to manipulate that wet edge, which is what creates the deep, overlapping texture that totally defines a proper suede finish. Next up, we have metallescence, or sometimes it's called metallescent paint. The logic here is literally right in the name. This is the process of adding real metal powder straight into the paint base. So why do we do this? To create a highly reflective, shiny, genuinely metallic finish on the surface. It gives off this sleek, industrial feel that is just incredibly popular in modern contemporary design. All right, our third finish is pearlescence, also known as luminescence. Now, the key difference to remember here is the additive. Instead of metal powder, pearlescent paint is infused with ceramic or glass crystals. And these crystals don't just reflect light, they refract it. That means the light literally bends as it passes through the crystals, which gives the surface this deep, shifting, pearl-like effect that actually changes depending on what angle you're viewing it from. It's really cool stuff. Now, it is ridiculously easy to mix these two up on an assessment, so let's contrast them directly so you've got it locked down. Metal Essence uses metal powder for a shiny, reflective finish. Pearl Essence uses ceramic or glass crystals to refract light for a pearly-like finish. Keep that distinction crystal clear in your notes, guys, because it dictates not only how the final product looks, but also exactly how you handle the material on site. And speaking of handling the material, here is a massive, absolutely crucial warning straight from your guidebook. Note that pearlescent paint cannot be sprayed. If you take pearlescent paint with all its glass and ceramic crystals and run it through a standard paint sprayer, you are going to destroy thousands of dollars of expensive equipment in seconds. It is a wildly costly mistake, so please always check your manufacturer specs and your tools. Okay, our fourth and final modern acrylic finish is lime wash. Interestingly, this is actually a really old technique that's been modernized for today's market. It's made super simply from crushed lime and water. What's fantastic about a lime wash is that it gives you this beautifully textured, natural matte finish. And even better, it is low odor and very low VOC, that's volatile organic compounds. This makes it a massive win for environmental compliance and ensuring really high indoor air quality for your client. Section 4. Hitting the tools. Practical application. Theory is fantastic, but as tradespeople, we learn by doing, right? And honestly, the real work starts the second you open the bucket. Proper mixing is mandatory, especially when you're dealing with heavy additives like metal powders or glass beads that just love to sink and settle at the bottom. Remember step 2 from our universal workflow earlier? Prepping the application area. You must have your materials perfectly mixed, your substrate completely sound and clean, and your drop sheets laid out flat before you even think about putting that finish on a wall. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a direct challenge drawn right out of your study guide. Think about this. How is each of these effects, suede, metal essence, pearl essence, and lime wash, most commonly used in the industry right now? I want you to go out and research current industry trends. Look at architectural magazines, check out online portfolios, and be ready to share your findings with your group in your next class. Because honestly, understanding the why and the how is just as important as knowing the what. Thank you so much for tuning into this explainer, students. Study hard, plan thoroughly, and have an awesome time hitting the tools.